What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Lore Chronicles. I'm your host, Willoughby's. With me, as always, is Mr. Burns, and today we are following up with one of our more better performing videos of all time. Something that you guys have been super interested in learning about is how to rate cards, or rather, what are the rate of cards, and then how you pick the best cards, the cards that are on rate, that are the most power for their buck, and put them into your decks. So we have been asked repeatedly to update the rate video because Mr. Burns talked to us about how the power has kind of shifted once Winterspell and Fabled and all of those things kind of came into play.
Yeah, the power has been creeping for sure. But people are really enjoying that. I think this is actually the first trading card game I've ever played where there was like super obvious power creep, and it was welcomed with arms wide open. You know, we got Creed up in here.
What is power creep for the folks at home?
Sure. So power creep is where something that originally costed X amount gave you X for that cost, right? Which sounds weird to say out loud instead of writing down. But let's say you had a 3-cost 3/3 that quested for 1. Now you have a 3-cost 4/4 that quests for 1, and that's just the normal base rate. So any previously printed 3-cost 3/3s, 3-cost 4/3s, 3-cost 3/4s are gone. If those are still in your deck, you better have a really good synergistic reason, because they have 3-cost 4/4s now.
I think a good potential example of this is a card like Genie Satisfied Dragon. This is the Steel Genie. I'll have it up on screen. So this Genie, and it gains evasive, right? On your turn.
On your turn.
So, which is different. It's alert, but it was before alert was a thing, right? So some people put this Genie Satisfied Dragon over something like Lexington or GG, right? And again, have these cards up on the screen for the people who are confused, in their Amethyst Steel decks. And their reason was maybe they wanted to synergize with cards like Dumbo, right? And so even though this is technically below rate compared to something like Lexington, because Lexington, as you can see, is a 4/4, the difference there is like people are specifically choosing that in order to combo with another card, whereas Lexington, you cannot draw off the Dumbo, right? So that's kind of like the minuscule differences, the little things like that go into deck building, and that's how the best players in this game give themselves an edge over people like me, right, who don't necessarily understand all of those intricacies. So that's what we do here. This is Lore Chronicles University. We're trying to help you, the average player like me, your average Joe Schmo or Willoughby's, get better from someone like Mr. Burns, who's been playing card games for what, like over 10 years or something like that.
That's funny. Over 20 years.
Over 20 years.
Pushing 30 years.
So
I'll be 38 soon, and I started when I was 8.
amazing. So there you go. That's what we're trying to do here. Before we fully jump into the video, if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button, and more importantly, join our Discord. We've had a bunch of new people joining there, and that is a place where Mr. Burns is on there all the time answering your questions. Sometimes it's super like complicated stuff, like, hey, how do you keep a cool head before the top cut? And then it's more intricate stuff like, what is the importance of this card in this deck versus this, whatever it is, whatever your skill level, we are here for you. We love chatting with you guys, and we really appreciate the support, so make sure to join that. But all right, let's go ahead and get into this video. Now, if you haven't seen it, I'm gonna put a chart up on the screen here, and this is post rotation, right? Come set 13, Attack of the Vine, there is officially gonna be a new standard rate, base rate for all cards, right? Because with Attack of the Vine, all sets that are going to be legal are only going to be Fabled set 9 through set 13. So we have this chart, we've updated it. Talk to us about this chart, where they can find it, of course links in the description, and more.
Yeah, so the easiest place that we could put this chart so everyone could find it all the time was Metafy, and it is free. This thing will always be free. And we should mention that, like, we don't know what Attack of the Vine is bringing, so it's possible that this changes? If so, we will change it on Metafy.
Well,
This is an
actually,
evergreen.
I thought about this because I was like, wait, should we just wait for Attack of the Vine? Won't that technically potentially make the chart outdated? No, and I'll tell you why. Because if sets 9 through 12 follow this base rate, if there's a bunch of cards that are above rate, it's not that that's the new rate. Those are just above rate, right? So that's a good way to
especially with
think
how
about
small the card pool will
Exactly.
be. Like that will only be like a fifth of the card pool.
Exactly. So anything that is above or below rate, according to Attack of the Vine, isn't going to be like, isn't that the new base rate? Actually, the rest of the sets, 9 through 12, which is the majority of the card pool, make the base rate, right? So to be fair, I don't think this is going to be out of date, even with Attack of the Vine. But yes, you were saying it is on Metafy. It will always be free. Anything else you want to say about this?
This is really boring, so we also made some slides with photos. I don't know about you guys. I prefer my books with photos.
Yeah, I agree. I think we want to get into the photos. But overall, for anybody who's new here and is kind of like looking at this for the first time and is like, okay, this is a lot of words. I don't understand what's going on. Basically, and you can kind of jump in after me here, what we're looking at is, so when it says cost, for example, if it costs 1 ink, and it is an inkable card, the strength plus the willpower, which is the S and the W there, also known as the stats, is going to equal 4, right? And then it's going to quest for 1. However, if it's uninkable, it's only going to add up to 2, right? So maybe it's a 1-1, and it's going to be able to quest for 2. That's like base rate, right? That's what you're going to see at the most basic way to look at a card. So if you see a card that's better than that, maybe it's a 1-drop uninkable, but its strength and willpower adds up to 3, right? Then, hey, now you know to put that card in your deck, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about as we go through all of these cards. And then you see at the bottom of the chart the different abilities. Same thing. If it has alert, that means it's going to cost... its cost is going to come out of its stats, right? So is there anything you kind of want to say about this before we jump into the pictures?
Something that we didn't add on here, but drawing a card now only costs 1. We have said that in previous videos. And again, the Metafy guide, there is like way too much information, actually. Like it is laid out very well. It should be pretty easy to consume, even though it's many, many pages, because there are photo examples for every single thing that we talk about.
Yeah. So overall, this is the boring chart way to put it. But Mr. Burns has gone through and he has selected a bunch of cards for us to look at to help you guys get a little bit more familiar with what kinds of cards are going to be on rate and above rate. So let's get into it, Mr. Burns. We've got our first slide here. Take it away for our 1-drops. What do you want to say about these cards, and why are these the cards that you've chosen to look at and think are going to be the most important to focus on as examples when we talk about going into a metagame post-rotation?
Yeah, so, all right, we're starting off with the 1-drops. Obviously, where else would we start? Leviathan? Makes no sense. Anyway. So what did the strength and willpower have to add up to if it only quested for 1 and it cost 1 and it was inkable?
4.
And there's every example right there. We got Thomas, Mr. Incredible, Big Nose, Tinkerbell. There's probably 12 more cards that have this stat line. The point is every single one of them is going to add up to this if it is a vanilla card with no abilities.
Yep.
And then we have the Prince, which is a new one. We've never had a 1-cost O2 that quests for 2 that was a vanilla, right? So this is taking the place of like Lilo and Maleficent biding her time, stuff like that. But still, we can look at the vanilla chart. 1 cost, uninkable, 2 stats, 2 questing power. And then I put up a couple of examples, and I sprinkled these in a little bit of the abilities and what they would cost. So Pegasus is giving up 2 stat points to have evasive, and when I look at the chart, boom, that's what it's supposed to give up. Cena is giving up 1 stat point for alert, that's correct. And then Luisa is giving up 1 stat point to have Challenger 2. Again, that's correct. So these are all the on-rate cards that cost 1.
Yeah. So again, I love to hammer it home. I love to put it in words that make it a little bit simpler for the folks at home. But great example of this is, again, we're looking at the chart, supposed to add up to 4 in its stats. Thomas adds up to 4 because 0 plus 4 equals 4. Mr. Incredible adds up to 4 because 2 plus 2 equals 4. When you look at something like Pegasus strength and willpower only adds up to 2, but hello, we've got the evasive ability there. So you can look at the chart, you can see all of these different things and what makes them. So for example, if Pegasus added up to 3, maybe it was a 1-2, all of a sudden this card is above rate. It's really, really good. You might want to throw this into every single one of your decks, right? Or Emerald decks.
Yeah. Also, this is why when a brand new card is spoiled, it's been out for 10 seconds, people can confidently say, oh, this card's great, or oh, this card's not very good.
Yep.
And a lot of newer trading card game players are just like, these guys are full of it. They haven't even touched this card yet. What are they talking about, right? But we know based on what the base rate of a card should be, like, oh yeah, this is an on-rate card, or oh, this card's unplayable, or oh, this card is actually very good, and you know, I should buy a bunch of them.
Yeah. And as we continue to talk about this, there's so many more examples of how this is helpful. But so that way we don't stay on the same screen, let's move on to our 2-drops. Talk to us about our 2-drops, Mr. Burns.
Yeah, so now that you like get the concept from the 1-drops, I only put one example of each of the 2-drops. So if it costs 2 and it quests for 1, it should add up to 6. If it costs 2 and it quests for 2, it should add up to 4. If it's uninkable, that actually can make it add up to 6. So this is why that Diablo is such a popular card, because we're used to, if you can afford the uninkability, you're used to only questing for 1 if you play a 2-cost 3/3, and this one doubles that. And then we have Sebastian looking scared, as he should be, because a 1/1 gets banished by everything. If it costs 2 and it quests for 3, it has historically always been uninkable and only a 1/1.
So quick
yep,
question as we talk about these uninkable 2-drops. One that comes to mind, I'll put it on the screen for everybody at home, is the Ghostly Ebenezer, the Scrooge McDuck Ghostly Ebenezer. And that card is a 2-cost 3/3 quest for 1, but it does have boost 1. So when you boost that card, you put a card. When you boost it, you pay 1, put a card underneath it, and it gains +1 strength, +1 willpower. This is something that we are seeing added to almost every single Ruby deck, if not all Ruby decks in the format right now.
In all formats, yeah. Basically.
So talk to us about, I know you didn't put it on here, but is that because it's an example of an above rate card? How does its stats change? Or is it actually a below rate card technically in terms of the cost per, you know, strength and willpower, but there's another reason that it gets added to every single deck?
So this is exactly why Willoughby's is such a good partner of mine. And this is why people absolutely love you. People specifically said to me, I feel like Willoughby's is my surrogate in these videos because I don't show you any of this stuff ahead of time.
Nope.
And Scrooge on slide 8.
Okay.
So we will be going over Scrooge.
So there you go. Scrooge is coming, but we're not talking about it yet.
Yeah, I knew that would be a popular question.
Okay, cool.
I actually added slide 8 this morning.
Okay, there you go. So if you're wondering why it's not here, don't worry. We're going to talk about it. All right, keep going with the rest of the page.
Yeah, so David was a good example of Bodyguard. Bodyguard gives up 1. Right, so David adds up to 5 instead of 6, and he has Bodyguard. Powerline is a surrogate for all of the other Singer 4s, right? Gives up 1 stat point to gain Singer. Darkwing Duck has Ward, gives up 1 stat point for Ward. Everything is as it should. And Daisy Duck has Support, gives up 1 stat point for Support.
Oh. All right. I think it's pretty standard for the 2-drops. Not seeing anything too interesting here, although maybe we'll talk about something like Grandmother Willow later, or no?
Question mark? I think she is on something.
Okay, so we'll come back. All right, let's move on to those 3 costs. Now, again, most of these are just vanillas until we see the abilities. So go ahead, talk to me.
All right, so Bagheera, as we said earlier, and it's on the chart. If it costs 3, it quests for 1. Now it should add up to 8. Which, if you quit playing Disney Lorcana for a long time and you played a lot before Whispers in the Well came out, this is a huge shock to you, right? This would be like a super rare if it was printed in set 1, but it's just a lonely old uncommon now because it's the base rate. And then we see a 3 cost 4/2 quest for 2. This is actually what it's always been. It's always going to add up to 6. And then Daisy Duck is a 3 cost 2/2 that quests for 3. And we actually start to see a pattern here. And that's why I don't know if people, have been looking ahead or may have noticed it when you had it on your screen earlier. Some of these stats plus willpower on the rate, I wrote the word assumed next to. Because we're starting to see a pattern where we go, let's see, we go 8, 6, 4, 10, 8, 6, 12, 10, 8. So we're always giving up 2 for 1 questing power. So that's pretty interesting. I'm assuming, I don't know this, I'm assuming that the people that make the game probably have this chart somewhere, in the office so that they're making sure, like, I'm not printing something that's like way too powered.
Yeah. I think it goes to show as well that like this isn't random, because I think for somebody like me who this is their first trading card game, the kind of like math and the balancing behind it feels kind of like hard to understand. It's like, how do they always make sure that like they're making cards that are, not super broken? How is it not all just like, Bagheera feels like he should be a 4/4, right? And then you sit down and you look at these charts and you realize, no, we can actually table this stuff, set it in stone, and so that way when we break the rules, quote unquote, it's purposeful, right? Because we do want certain cards to be above rate. We want them to be overpowered. And that's where you get things like legendary and stuff like that. Typically, your legendary cards are going to be like a really, really cool but niche ability, or it's going to be something that's like super overpowered, right? So go ahead, talk to me.
Yeah, I also, one thing that keeps like Disney Lorcana really balanced. It's actually something that frustrates me. I don't remember who was talking about it recently, but there are people who love perfectly balanced formats where there's 10 different decks, and then there's people that love when there's like 3 really good decks and no reason to play any others. And I'm the kind of person that likes 3 really good decks because I don't want to prepare for a 10 round tournament and I have to figure, am I going to play a different deck every single round? So these different stat points, the cost, the uninkability, the strength, the willpower, the questing power, that's 5 different knobs. That is actually what they're called in the industry, that the people that make the game can turn just 1 up, 1 down, move the dials around a little bit. A card that is, let's say, a 3 cost 7/1 might be broken, even though if you look on our thing, well, it adds up to 8, so that's on rate. In some metagames that might be way too good, and the opposite is true as well. So anyway, sorry. Hermes, so that's our example of Rush. Rush costs 2 stat points. I think this is why we don't see a lot of Rush characters anymore, right? They did not reprint Maui Hero to All, which was historically like, if not the best, the second best Rush character of all time, right behind Madam Mim Fox. But not a lot of Rush characters see a lot of play nowadays. And then we have Francine, which has resist +1. And we can see on our chart, resist should cost 1. And then Bronx is massive, right?
Oh yeah, that reckless keyword there.
Yeah. Bronx is one of those things that's like, it is on rate, or sorry, it is 2 above rate, but it does have reckless. And as we put in the thing in our guide, reckless, that is the cost. Like, this is how we can take a card and make it too good, but then bring it back down to earth, going, well, yeah, it's going to clear a lot of things, but it can't actually quest anymore.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on to the 4 drops. And on this page, we actually have 4 and 5 costs. So talk to me about it.
Yeah. So first one we have here is a 4 cost 4/6 that quest for 1. And this is one of the only vanillas that actually saw play before, we saw all of these dog decks just running all over everyone, right? And it was kind of shocking because it's just a vanilla card, right? But people identified this is just the best inkable card for this rate, right? For a 4 cost, and it is a 4/6. So we now know that they need to add up to 10 if they're going to quest for 1. Mushu, 4 cost, 4/4 quest for 2 has add up to 8. And then we had to assume that if there was a 4 cost that quest for 3, it would add up to 6. And then Mayor Wind Dancer, my lord.
Mhm.
Not only just voluptuous hair, but 4 cost, 5/7. How do you deal with that card? You make it uninkable. That's how you deal with that card. You make it uninkable, and people play maybe one of it every couple of months in their deck. And then Grand Councilwoman, 4 cost, 3/5, quest for 3. We can move on to the 5 costs. So Prince Eric is a reprint of Cauldronborn essentially, but in a different ink color because that is the base rate. I'm assuming we will eventually get one of these in every ink color. A 5 cost can have 13 stat points if it quests for 1. And Hook Hand is a good example of 5 costs a quest for 2. They should have 11 stat points. And of course, because of that, we can assume it'll have 9 stat points if it quests for 3.
Boom. All right, pretty simple. We're almost done with all the like basic edge cases here. So let's go ahead and finish it out. We've got 6 costs and above.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, I don't even think we have to read these. They're all vanilla. You can see we've gone over all the other ones. If you're struggling a little bit still, once we've gotten to this point, just join that Discord and we could talk about it more personally.
Cool. All right, so let's move on to this next slide here. Talk to me about, there she is, Grandmother Willow. Talk to me about these selections. What are you trying to tell us with the cards that you've put on this slide?
So this slide is a quiz. Boom, boom. It's quiz time, Willoughbys.
Okay, I gotta pull up the chart.
Yep. So let's see. Is Ka on rate, above rate, or below rate?
Oh my gosh.
7 cost inkable.
Okay.
Quest for 3 adds up to 13, but it has evasive.
Okay.
If we get some Jeopardy music, I don't think we have the budget for that.
I can do this. I already got it. Listen, this is how easy it is with the chart. I literally looked at the chart. Okay, I went 7 uninkable, adds up to 14 because the quest, and then it says quest for 3, right? I did the math. Okay, so 6 plus 6 is 12, but you add one more, so it adds up to 13. Okay, so it's 1 under, but we have evasive costs 2, so that makes it. But it only costs on this card. It only costs 1. So that makes it. Wait, no, it's supposed to add up to 14. Just kidding. Yes, above rate. Thoughts?
It is above rate.
Let's go.
This is
above rate by 1. I was doing the calculations. I was doing the math.
It's obviously like in core constructed. This is also why like context matters, because in core constructed, we have 7 cost cards that banish a card when they're played. We have 7 cost cards that draw 7 cards basically. We have 7 cost cards that discard your opponent's entire hand. So Ka has never seen play, but in limited, it's a menace. Like this card is actually insane in limited, and we can see that's because it is in fact above rate.
So I want to take the time before we finish out the homework to highlight what you just said there, that just because, and this is like a really important part of this video, this will get its own little like timestamp, just because something is on rate does not mean it is an auto include. Sometimes that is the case, but like Mr. Burns just said, context is important. So in the metagames that we have seen so far, something like Ka is probably too slow, right? It doesn't, it costs 7, but it doesn't do anything on play. So that's still something that you have to talk about. Maybe we could talk more about like, you know, on play versus like.
We have a whole video about that actually. It's one of our rules. We can't play cards that cost more than 3 that don't do something on play.
So
or leave.
we can talk, yeah, like you can go watch that whole video to learn more, but like that's really, really important, is like don't just start slamming 100% blind all above rate cards without thinking about it. It's probably okay, but then you find cases like this where you're like, wait a second, this is above rate, maybe it is a good card, and it's like, or good is a relative term, but you get what I mean, right? So just something to highlight, as I'm sure we'll start to see in all of these cards, even if they're above or below rate, they have different things that make them more or less playable. All right, talk to me.
Well, I do want to say real quick, like if you were someone who was going to play Space Cows in your deck, like let's say you're a brand new player and you open some packs and you're like, wow, I have a 7 cost, 6/8 quest for 3. Just play Ka. That like
There you go.
That's one of those level up moments. So Pluto, I'm not going to quiz you on because I think that this is actually more of a thought exercise, right? So it is giving up. It's a 1 cost, uninkable. It's giving up 1 questing power to have this ability, right? But you're not going to quest with it. You're going to use it to make a character cost 1 less. And is E02. It is going to get banished immediately. Okay. So we can think of this card as like a 1 cost, uninkable, single serving ink, right? It's almost as if you got to ink 1 extra time turn 1, but then the ink goes away. And I kind of wanted to explain why this card wasn't played. I see a lot of people, especially newer players, especially around me, so I'm assuming it is happening in other places. They think this card's fantastic, they put it in their deck, and then they're not getting the results that they want, right? So, in my opinion, you're giving up what you could have played on turn 1, which would be a 1 cost 2/2, or 1 cost 3/1, or 1 cost 1/3. So you're giving up 4 stat points to be able to play a 3 cost card, right? If we just look at Bagheera versus any of the 2 costs like Happy, you're only getting 2 more stat points playing a Bagheera on turn 2 over a Happy on turn 2. And this, I believe, is why people do not play Pluto. You're giving up effectively 2 stat points to play this Pluto to accelerate yourself into a 3 cost 4/4 or something like that. The only edge cases we've ever seen Pluto ever be played is basically decks that are going to win like immediately when they play that character, like a Circle Life deck, or a deck that can play a bodyguard like Raja, so that you get to use the Pluto again. If you're ever in a format where you get to use the Pluto twice, it has paid for itself for sure. If you only use it once and you gave up 4 stat points to add maybe 2 other stat points to your board, you have effectively made your first couple of turns below rate.
Yeah,
Hopefully that's not too much to understand.
No, I actually think you explained that really, really well. I think the other thing that I would say about this is just like anytime, like he said, Pluto would have been playable, in addition to the times that he's mentioned, it just kind of goes to show like Amber is so powerful now because it has its own pseudo ramp. Look at the card underneath it, Grandmother Willow. Look at things like Lantern that got reprinted. So maybe Pluto would have been a little bit better at those times and in those metas, but now especially, right, you just have better options even in those decks that it used to be played in, specifically in this color pairing. So this is like a unique kind of case that we bring up here. But all right,
that's why it wasn't a quiz. All right, Sven, this one you should be able to do. I believe in you, Willoughby.
Okay. Oh, there's so many keywords on this. All right, let's go down the chart, folks. We've got 4 cost, uninkable, okay, and it quests for 1, so that means it's got to add up to 12. Okay, so we've got 5 on there. So we're at
5 so far. So we gotta find 7 more.
We gotta find the other 7. Okay. So let's look at Rush. So take away 2. So now we gotta find 5. Okay. Then we look at Challenger. What is it? Challenger plus 3. Challenger plus 2 and beyond is 1 per. So then we gotta find 2 more because that's 3. And then we gotta find the 2 for being evasive. Boom. Did we do it? It's on rate?
No, Challenger plus 2 is 1, and then it's 1 more for each one afterwards.
So then it's
It's
above
a little
rate.
confusing. It is one below rate.
One below
right?
rate. I can't do math.
Should add up to 12. Should add up to 12. We'll reduce 5 immediately. Okay, challenger plus 2. Challenger plus 1, an additional challenger. And then rush is 2. And then evasive is 2. I still got the little pinky up. This is an example of a card that is technically below rate, right? So it's not just jammed into every Amethyst deck, and we see that, right? It is only played to combat certain cards in the metagame or to fill certain holes in your deck. And I think this is just another example, like the Ka, but the opposite. Whereas the Ka was above rate, but we don't play it. This one's below rate, but we do play it.
Yeah.
Because again, this is just finding those cards in your deck that are just not going to perform, 5% better than another card in your deck because you were just simply playing an underrate card for no reason. So.
Yeah. I think it's really good to have both of those examples, and I think this one's going to resonate with a lot of people easier than the Ka because people do understand why they play Sven in their deck. And I think something to note is I think because it's so close to being on rate, but it's just a little under, is why you have some people in the camp of like, this card's insane, people who don't play it are crazy, and then you have a whole other section of people that are like, it's just not worth it, I can fill the hole in other ways. And because it's so close, that's where you kind of get the split in mentality. And then at that point, it's just up to you and your play style to know whether or not this card is worth including in your deck.
All right, next one, Amos Slade. This is one I believe in you.
Okay, this one I can get. This one I can get. Quest for 1, uninkable. Boom, it's got to add up to 12. Okay, and we're too short. So let's take a look at that. Alert costs 1. So this is under rate.
It is under rate, and it has never, ever been played. No matter how many Dumbos you want to banish, people still did not put this card in their deck, right? Because it's just strictly under rate. So,
boom.
All right, Minnie Mouse.
All right, let's see. 3 costs uninkable. Let's see, folks. We've got Quest for 2. Okay, Quest for 2 should add up to 6. Oh,
that's for inkable because
I'm
we
sorry,
don't
I'm looking at the wrong thing.
We don't. No, that's fine. And this is exactly why I want you to talk about it because we don't have an uninkable 3 cost in the game. That Quest for 2,
besides
right?
her.
A vanilla one. Yes. So, well, she's not. She's French.
Okay. Yeah.
She's French vanilla. So, what would it add up to if it was inkable?
If it was inkable and it quests for 2, it adds up to 6.
Yes. And then support is how many stats?
Support is 1.
Right. So this card reasonably gave up its inkability to gain support. Right. And this is something that we did not put in the chart, but it's one of those knobs I was talking about earlier. Just drawing from this card, this means that some of the cards that are uninkable in the game, it is because it has the stat points of the inkable version. So I would say that this card is on rate, still has never seen play, but this was a really good example of taking what we have in the guide and being able to just figure out every single card ever made forever. Like we will probably still do this once a year or so, but reasonably, if you've read the guide, you shouldn't have to watch this once a year, right? You should be able to do this for yourself. And I think that that's one of the best things about this video.
Boom. All right, so we got Grandmother Willow now. You know her, you love her. I like her because she's got my namesake. We see a 2 cost uninkable that quests for 1. Let me tell you guys, 2 cost uninkable. Hold on a second. This also isn't on the chart. Unless I'm wrong.
2 cost uninkable, right? 2 cost uninkable only quest for 2 in this game. So this is one of those edge cases like Pluto, except you don't have to ever exert her if you don't want to. So you can think of her a few ways. 1, you gave up 3 stat points to add essentially 2 additional stat points every turn for the rest of the game until she's banished. Or 2, if you play 2 characters after her, She was a 0 cost 1/2 that quests for 1, and for the rest of the game, the first character you play each turn is 1 less. This card's insane. How is this card not legendary?
They wanted all the people to be able to have her, and thank you for that.
When we got to spoil this card, because we spoiled it, by the way, for those that don't remember. When we got to spoil this card, I was like dumbfounded. I'm never lost for words, and I was like, this card's great. People were messaging me going, do you really think that card's good? It's just a 2 cost 1/2, that's uninkable. And I'm responding, are you insane? This card's nuts.
I was so proud of myself because they did not show us this ahead of time. When the first thing I said out loud when I saw that card was, because you're already like on the spot because like a bunch of people are watching in the audience because they want to see the cards, and you're talking to like the game developers who made the card. So you're like, I gotta say something smart. I gotta say something smart. And then they reveal this card. I read it and I just go, okay, we're taking lanterns out. We're putting Grandmother Willows in. All right, let's move on. We've got Baloo here. Oh, geez. Okay, I forgot I'm the one doing this. Okay.
Yeah, these two are easy. You're good.
Cost 2. And then we got to lose 1 for bodyguard. It's got up to 13, I believe. Wait, am I looking through? Yeah, and then 1 for bodyguard and support. Cost 1. Boom! On rate.
It is on rate, and it is unplayable. So again, another one of those examples. I mean, if this was limited, yeah, I'm throwing it in my deck 10 out of 10 times, but it's not. So just another one of those examples. And last one, the Headless Horseman.
Below rate by 1.
Yeah, but played?
It kind of is seen play lately.
Even in Infinity?
I've been kind of seeing a couple of decks with this.
So another one of those examples of if there is a like very specific interaction you need, it kind of doesn't matter that it's unplayable or quote unquote unplayable on paper, right?
Yeah.
So again, this is not gospel. This guide is straight math. You can't argue with math unless you're a crazy person, but it's not the gospel. And you can always veer off of this, and people should not be afraid to veer off of this.
So context matters. Don't just take this and run with it blindly. Think about your synergies and etc. All right, let's move on. What do you got for us here on this slide? I see.
We got a
Underdog.
Yeah, we got a curveball. Underdog is here. So I actually separated these on accident when I did it, but it was kind of like cards that I would still play when I don't have them turn 1, and cards I would just ink after turn 1. Like the top 3, like I would definitely still play Christopher Robin. I'd definitely still play Liquidator. Yeah, I'd probably still play White Rabbit. The other 3, there's no way I'm playing them if I'm not on the draw on turn 1.
Really, Angel? So, I feel like people sometimes still put her out there.
The thing is, like, you're playing probably 4 Ursula, 4 Troubadour. Yeah, like if I'm playing this on turn 2, I'm really behind.
Yeah.
And we can actually see that on Angel, right? So 2 cost, inkable, quest for 1 should have 6 stat points, and it doesn't. And it only has Singer +1. So it is very underrate when you don't play it on turn 1. Yeah. When you play it on turn 1, it's great because that's why it has Singer 3. It was printed as though it is a 1-drop, right? If this was a 1 cost 2/2, it would quest for 1, and then Singer +2 is 1 stat point. So, yeah. And then I did want to highlight, okay, Christopher Robin. I think this card sucks. I actually think this card is not good, like almost at all. And even when I played with it, like there were games that I got like 6 lore off of it, and I was just like, if this was a card that did something, it would be so much better. Obviously, if you're playing in like this really aggressive, purple, Amethyst Emerald. Who was that for a second? Amethyst Emerald, hyper aggro decks. Whatever. It quests for 2. You're just going to jam it in your deck. but like that deck is not a tier 1 deck, right? Because it's full of cards like this. So if it was 2 cost inkable quest for 2, it would have 4 stat points. It's 1 rate, right?
Mm-hmm.
When's the last time you saw someone play a 2 cost 2/2 that quests for 2? Never. Like maybe during chapter 1,
Yeah.
right? So this is another good example of like people's argument is like, well, yeah, it's on rate. Like it's fine to put in my deck. It's not. It really does nothing. And yes, when you are on the draw, it is above rate.
Yeah.
It's almost certainly going to get banished immediately. And here's why. When you're on, whenever you play an underdog, anytime you play an underdog, your opponent has the capability of having 2 ink the following turn.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on the play and you play this on turn 2 and you say go, your opponent is going to ink to 2. If you're on the draw and you play this on turn 1 and you say go, your opponent is going to ink to 2. Most likely when they ink to 2, they're going to play something that has 6 stat points. Probably a 3/3. What does Christopher Robin do for you ever? I know this seems like a tangent, but like if Christopher Robin is so good, why is Splatter Phoenix so bad, for instance? So yeah, this is how you evaluate underdogs, in my opinion. It's would I play them if I was on the play still is one big thing. Because like I said, your opponent is always going to have 2 ink the following turn that you play them.
Mm-hmm.
And then is it even on or above rate when I'm on the draw? So that's my TED Talk on underdogs.
That's Underdog. Let's keep it pushing. We've got, boom, boost cards. I gotta adjust them a little bit, but that's okay. Sorry folks at home, I'll fix it in just a second. Fun fact, by the way, my cat's sitting here and I'm petting her and she's on screen, but you can't see her because you can't see me. But I just wanted to let you know.
We should get at least 1,000 more views if this is a cat video now.
All right, so here we go. The cards are correct now. Sorry about that. Talk to me about the boost mechanic.
Right. I separated these into 2 different categories. The top category is the binary boost characters. You either are boosted or you are not boosted, right? And its ability dictates what you're going to get, whether you're boosted or not. So, example, Ariel. If she is boosted, when you play your first song, whenever you play a song, draw a card. Yep. If she's not boosted, you don't draw a card. The bottom row is the continuous boost cards. It actually, keeps escalating the more that you boost it, or you get to use an ability over and over each time that you boost it, right? So the top ones are real simple, especially considering, like I said, it's a binary thing. Flynn Rider, it's a 1 cost, 1/2, quest for 1. That is giving up 1 stat point. That's an underpowered card, right? And then if we think about having to boost it, we've now paid 3. So a 3 cost that quests for 2, it is going to be a 5/2, right? That's also underpowered. So this is why we don't see a lot of Flynn Rider being played. We do see some Flynn Rider being played, though, because versatility matters. That is also why we see Cheshire Cat being played over a card like Belle, right? Belle is clearly a better statted card. If you're going to play one of these on turn 5, Belle is just better, all around. But Cheshire Cat is more versatile. So it's hard to evaluate boost cards is kind of where I'm getting at this. Flynn Rider, bad as a 1-drop, bad as a 3-drop. If you are in a deck, though, where you randomly have 2 ink some turn, which is really hard to do, then it's a fine card. And that's why we see it played sometimes. So, again, this is one of those times where a card isn't necessarily good or bad. It has to be in a certain position. And you can do that for all these cards. Ariel, 4 costs, quest for 2, inkable. It should add up to 8. It only adds up to 7. If you pay 1 more, now you got a 5 cost on inkable to quest for 2. It should add up to 11. Only adds up to 7. Drawing a card is worth 1 ink. realistically, you need to draw like 3 cards off this before it's like a profitable card. But in the decks that she's actually played in, she is like one of the most important cards, right? Because you are drawing 3 cards off of her pretty often, or like you're so sorry for card draw. Otherwise, it's a necessary evil that you have to play her.
Yeah.
All right, Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just wanted to say, like, to add on to what you said, that like boost is a little like complicated and hard to evaluate. We recognize that like boost cards are going to continue to be a part of the format moving forward, and
This is insane.
yeah, boost is
Honestly.
great. But I think in this case, like if we see that there is, you know, a base rate for boost cards, we will definitely update you. But I think in this case, like he's been referencing throughout this video, it's one of those ways to just kind of turn the dial in a different way. And I think in this case, like boost cards, you're usually not going to have a deck that's like all boost cards. There is actually a Ruby and Amber boost deck, but like even that's not all boost cards. You can still look to other people to have an idea of whether or not something's included. But the rest of your 60, you know, you're going to be able to use this chart to figure out. And so it's okay to still look at what other people are doing, especially if you are considering using a boost card. Think about whether or not it's meta that can kind of just help you, whether or not you throw it into your deck. All right, talk to us about Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, so Scrooge McDuck is always understated, right? It is a 2-cost 3/3 that quests for 1, but it's uninkable. That's understated.
Mm-hmm.
A 2-cost 3/3 that quests for 1 should be inkable. If you pay 3 for it, now it's a 3-cost 4/4 that quests for 1. That again should be inkable, right? And we can just keep going down this road for every turn. I will spare you. The thing is, it's so versatile that it becomes above rate, right?
Mm.
Because you can think about it this way. It's a 2-cost 3/3 that once per turn, every turn, you can pay 1 to play a free 1/1 character that doesn't cost a card from your hand.
Mm.
Like I say free because it doesn't cost a card from your hand. Obviously, it costs 1. So like a 1/1 character that quests for 1 should be a 2/2, but that costs you a card from your hand. If
Right.
you're on the play and you go ink, play a 1-cost 2/2, you're down to 5 cards in your hand. If you go turn 2 Scrooge McDuck, turn 3, make it bigger with boost, and play another 2-cost card, you've added so much more to the board than what you actually paid for from your hand, right?
Yeah.
And that's why Scrooge is so good. It's so much easier to randomly find 1 ink every couple of turns, right? It's a lot easier to play off curve. A deck that plays a 2-cost card on turn 2 and then a 2-cost card on turn 3 might have just lost the game if they didn't have anything to do with that other 1 ink. Like they're so much further behind their opponent. So the fact that you can just do this every single turn that you don't have something to play and not commit another card from your hand makes Scrooge like an unbelievably good card.
Boom. There you go. All right. Can we move on, or do you want to go through the rest
We
of
can
these?
move on.
All right.
I
So
think
this is
people get
our
the idea.
last slide. We know we've been talking a lot. We know we're throwing a lot at you, but this is something that you can pause, watch back later, finish later. This is just something that we wanted to have out there, so you always have it readily available to you. Let's finish strong. Sit up. Listen, we're finishing it. All right, here we go. Talk to me about this last slide.
All right. Some of these cards suck. And some of these cards are the examples why they suck. But all of these cards on this slide that I am going to say are not good are played cards.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the last slide for a reason. It is hammering home the idea that you can play cards that are quote unquote below rate, be successful in the game because synergy trumps just playing the best cards. There's a reason someone doesn't have a 60 card vanilla deck.
Yep.
Right? Synergy is king. So Woody is a 4-cost 3/4 quest for 1, inkable. Let's see, 4 costs, quest for 1, that should add up to 10. All right. When you play him, you're missing 3 stat points to the board when you play him, right? So what does he do? When he comes into play, you look at the top 4 cards of your deck, take a toy or Andy's room, reveal it, put it in your hand, right? Let's say half your deck is toys. So this card will hit most of the time. Most of the time, it will draw you a card. Drawing a card is worth 1 stat point or 1 ink, right? So no matter how you cut it, this card is understated. What about the times that you don't have a toy in your top 4 cards? You're actually like, I would rip this card in half and go home if that happened to me, right? But toys are so synergistic that it's just fine to play this card. It's actually like one of the better cards in the deck, even though it is like severely underrated, right?
Right. Because the cards that it's going to find you are going to do things that are going to make your deck go crazy.
Yeah. And they just work together and you just keep the snowball rolling, right? A little snowball, you know, whatever, no big deal. One that's been coming down the mountain at you at high speeds, building up more. Yeah, that's devastating. Bullseye. This card sucks. I'm just gonna say it. Okay, it's not a good card. 3 costs, 4/3, quest for 1. Okay, what should that be? 3 costs, quest for 1. It should add up to 8. This one only adds up to 7, right? If you have a Woody in play or a Jesse, it costs 1 less, right? So let's just say half the time you do, half the time you don't. This costs 2.5. It's just a normal on-rate card. Like, it's fine. I think most of the time you'd rather just have a 2-cost 3/3 that is always a 2-cost 3/3, right? Again, it's a toy. You can find it with Woody. It triggers all your other toy stuff. All right. Everyone gets the idea now.
Okay,
Finnick.
so rather than going, let's go like category by category. So let's do Finnick and Cloud Kicker together. They're under rate, but I'm trying to keep it under an hour. But we have the bouncing characters back to hand. So talk to us.
Yeah, so Cloud Kicker was played a little bit. It's not that good of a card, but Finnick serves a purpose now, right? Like in the Dog's Mirror, Finnick is unbelievably good. I think Finnick is a very good card, even though it's worse than Cloud Kicker. Like genuinely worse. If you pay 3 for it, you gave up a stat point for basically nothing. But Finnick also synergizes with things like Nani you can find with it, and off of the 5-cost lady you can return to your hand, right? Webby Vanderkleck. This card sucks. But if you play a lady on turn 1, and then you play any 1-drop plus her on turn 2, all of a sudden your lady quests for 3. Synergy is way more important. No one is ever going to say Mulan sucks, right? How good is Bobby? That's
great.
A question for you, Wallabies. Well, Bobby is fantastic. One of the best enemy cards in the game. Yeah, how good is Simba?
Not good.
That card sucks. Not only is it technically just strictly better than Bobby on paper because it's a prince, but like it's never ever really seen high levels of play and probably never will.
Yeah.
But Bobby is an all-star.
Yeah.
So this is another good example of context. And then finally, you know, we've added up in the vanilla rate, strength plus willpower, right? We've added them up. No one's going to argue. Tinkerbell is a fantastic card. Any Ruby deck, you have to think to yourself, do I want to play Tinkerbell? Because it just trades up so well. Technically on paper, it is the same exact stats as young as this young boy right here. Yeah. But you would never ever play this card, right? Even if I put Olaf next to him, you'd be like, oh yeah, Olaf's playable. Because people played Olaf for like a year. But this card is completely unplayable, right? And that's because context matters. So again, even a 1-cost 0/4 is significantly better than this card.
Yeah.
So yet again.
So
this is math. This is not gospel.
Those are our edge cases, okay? That's gonna be the end. We did it. We have an updated rate video, almost an hour long. We're gonna get you out of here before the hour mark, but listen, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully this has helped you kind of understand Disney Lorcana fundamentally a little bit better. And now you can go look at cards that are going to be spoiled for this next set, Attack of the Vine, on time, when they're spoiled on time and not a moment before. And you can say, hey, these cards are good or bad, or better yet, are they just enough bang for the buck of the ink costs, right? That is a better way to think about it. It's not good or bad, because as we just saw in these edge cases, anything can be good, anything can be bad, right? Even if it's on rate, even if it's above, even if it's below. But this is going to help you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Please leave a comment if you watched. It really helps us out more than you know, especially for these really, really long videos. So even if it's just a thanks or a cool or a thumbs up, leave something in the comments. It'll help us a lot. Join the Discord so we can help you out. Make sure to subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.